All right, we are ready for our weights class today, and it is a weights class today. Sometimes we do other things for our resistance training, but today we're going to use dumbbells. So grab what you got. I have a set of lights and a set of mediums. Wouldn't be bad to have a heavy available if you like to do that. We're going to start with our usual warm up, swinging our arms side to side, moving a little, waking everything up. Maybe adding that pedal of the ankles. And then if everything is nice and awake and feeling okay, bring it into the center and we'll go into our big side reaches. And then bringing it back to center, our forward reaches. Still just stretching and moving through the back body and the side body. Checking in with where we are today. Bringing the knees in now. Coming into a little windshield wiper side to side. Checking in with the hips, the low back. If everything's feeling okay, maybe step it out a little wider, windshield wiper a little bigger. And if that feels okay, maybe add that roll all the way from one side to the other. One more to each side. And then back into the center. Pop the knees up and down. And then rotating the wrists and ankles in one direction. And in the other direction. Give those fingers and toes a wiggle. And then we are ready. Okay, our first exercise today is going to be an Arnold press. Now we're going to do this one in a staff pose, so legs out in front, toes pulled back towards our face, everything nice and engaged. And then we're pressing up, coming down and in. Yeah, you guys know this one. 1 minute on the clock. Here we go. I'm feeling bold today, so I'm starting out with my medium weights. But a minute of Arnold presses seems like a very long time when you're doing it. So feel free to go to lighter weights if you hit a point where that's what your body needs, or even no weights at all. And keep breathing. Keeping the feet flexed and the belly firm. Finding the track of motion that feels right in your shoulders. And time. Nice. All right, from here, we're going to go into a V-sit, bringing back some of our classics today. We're going to do a V-sit pass-through. You'll only need one weight for this one, so you can set the other one to the side. You're going to pass it under, lifting the leg, and then go the other way. How much your core is working depends on how far back you're leaning, so choose your own adventure. And here we go. Beautiful. Trying to keep the back and the belly nice and firm here. Perfect. Working the hip flexors as you lift the leg. Working the biceps a little as you bring the dumbbell through and then up and over the other leg. And of course the core. 20 seconds to go here. Keep breathing. And time. Maybe curl in just for a second. Let the belly soften. Give everything a little wiggle. And then we're going to come down on our backs. No weights for this one. One knee is going to pull in, and we're going to press our hands into the knee, stacking one hand on top of the other. The other leg goes up, and it's going to rainbow to the side while we keep that pressure. So that's going to keep our arms and our chest active. We're going to do 30 seconds on each side, and I will tell you when to switch. Here we go. So pressing into the knee and pressing the knee into the hands. I have my head up because I'm watching the timer, but you don't need to if that doesn't feel comfortable in your neck. And then that leg rainbowing out to the side. I guess half a rainbow. We'll do the other half in a minute. Switching legs in 2, 1, and switch. Bringing the knee in, and the other leg out long. And then keeping that pressure so the chest and the arms are nice and active. The quad is nice and active. Beautiful. 5 more seconds here. And time. Woo, set those feet down. Windshield wiper the knees for just a second. And then from here, we're going to go into a reverse tabletop. We're going to grab our weights again, and we're going to do alternating skull crushers. So head down, arms at 90. We'll be doing one up at a time, just like that. All right, here we go. Knees at 90, keeping the belly firm. Raising and lowering each weight with control. Beautiful. If you want to add a little extra work, move it into a seesaw. So they're moving at the same time instead of one at a time. But that's up to you. 15 seconds to go. Time. All right. Set those weights down, set the feet down. Maybe another little windshield wiper, maybe hug the knees in, up to you. And then we're going to go into a marching bridge. So from here, you can put the weights on your hips if you want extra, or you can just let your hands rest on the floor. You're going to come up into a bridge, and we're just going to add a march. Working the back body and the core. We're going to do that for 1 minute. Away we go. How much work is going on in your hips is going to depend on how high you lift your knees. But no matter how high you lift your knees, or your hips for that matter, you're still going to be doing a lot of work. So find what works in your body. Beautiful. 25 seconds to go here. Check in. Are you still pressing up, keeping the back body nice and tight? Squeezing the booty a little bit. Almost there. And time. Lower everything back down. Do whatever movement feels good in your body. And then we're gonna finish off this set with a pullover. Now, options here are legs out long or knees bent. If you wanna work on your core, knees bent so you can really press your low back down into the floor is better. If you wanna focus on your chest, legs out long works best for that. I'm gonna focus on my core today, so I'm gonna keep my knees bent. I'm gonna take my dumbbell and bring it from right in front of my legs all the way up and over so that it just hovers above the ground, and then reverse direction, trying to keep that low back down to the floor the whole time. Keep breathing. Pressing into the low back, squeezing the belly button down. Maybe pressing into the heels as well. Halfway done. Time. All right, that is the end of our first set. Grab some water, and then we still have 2 sets to go. All right, coming back into center. I'm not gonna lie, those seated Arnold presses with my heavier weights are challenging. I'm gonna do the next set with my lighter weights, and we'll see where I go from there. But either way, whatever you choose to do, coming into that stack pose, 1 minute on the clock for our Arnold. Here we go. Looking good. Sitting up nice and tall. Keeping the belly firm. Slow and controlled in both directions. Time. Nice. All right, getting into position for our V-sit pass-through. One minute on the clock. Here we go. Now, usually when I do a pass-through, I hold the weight horizontally, but I thought I'd play with it today to work the bicep a little more by holding it vertically and bringing it up and down. And it does engage the arms a little more. So if you want to play with it, go for it. If you want to keep with the traditional horizontal position, no worries. We're halfway done. Keep breathing. Another thing I found about having the dumbbell in the vertical position forces me to raise my leg a little higher, which works the hip flexor just a little more. And time. Ooh, let everything soften, maybe round in. Give everything a little wiggle. And then down onto our backs for that knee pressed into the hands with the rainbow out to the side of the other leg. We're going to do 30 seconds on each leg. Here we go. Pressing the knee into the hands, with the hands into the knee, keeps everything nice and engaged. Getting a good isometric hold while we do the active work with the other leg. Switching sides in 2, 1, and switch. Slow and steady. Only 5 more seconds here. And time. All right. Maybe windshield wiper the knees, maybe stretch out long for a second. And then we'll go into our reverse table with our alternating skull crushers or our seesaw, up to you. So grabbing those weights. 1 minute on the clock. Away we go. Beautiful, slow and steady. Trying to keep the knees at that 90-degree angle. Keeping the hips at that 90-degree angle. We're halfway done already. Almost there. Time. Set the feet down, set the weights down. Maybe windshield wiper the knees for a moment. And then into our marching bridge. 1 minute on the clock. Let's do it. Whether you choose to rest your hands on the floor or on your hips or add a little extra weight, up to you. I did the first set with my hands flat on the floor. I'm trying this one with my hands resting on the hip points, just to see which one's more comfortable. And then lifting the leg nice and high for that march. "20 seconds to go. Beautiful. And time. Lower everything down. Maybe windshield wiper the knees, maybe stretch the legs out longer, pull them in, whatever would feel good in your body. And then get set up for that dumbbell pullover. "1 minute on the clock. Here we go. Slow and controlled here too. Pulling the belly button in. Pressing the back down into the floor. "15 more seconds here." Now, of course, if you're stretching your feet out long, your back is not going to press fully into the floor, and that's okay. That's normal. But you can still work your core extra by trying to pull your belly button down. And time. That is the end of our second set. Go ahead and grab a little more water. And then we still have one set to go. All right, bringing it back in. I think I'm going to be super adventurous and go back to my heavy weights for my Arnold press. But you do what is right for you. 1 minute on the clock. Here we go. Slow and easy. Palms rotating into the face as we come around, and then facing forward for that press up. Lots of work through all the parts of the shoulder. 20 more seconds here. And of course, keeping that stack pose nice and active so the lower body is engaged too. Or to be honest, you can let it relax. That's up to you. I just like to make everything into a full body exercise. And time. All right, coming into our V-sit pass through. 1 minute on the clock. Finding that lean back that's going to work your core. And here we go. Whatever angle you're doing, however much core work you want, keep the belly firm. Maybe try to stretch out through the crown of the head. We're going to be pointing like at the opposite ceiling wall joint. I don't know the word for that, but you guys know what I mean. It's going to be stretching out that way on a diagonal. 15 seconds to go here. Keep breathing. Time. Maybe hug the knees in or windshield wiper, up to you. And then coming down onto your back for those rainbows with the knee press. 30 seconds on each side. Here we go. Beautiful, good control. Trying to keep the hips squared on the mat. Letting the leg do the work. And switching sides in 2, 1, and switch. Keep breathing. Almost there. And time. Whew. Maybe pull the knees in or stretch them out long. And then setting the feet down so you can grab your weights safely. And bringing them right back up to that 90-degree angle for our skull cruncher seesaw. 1 minute on the clock. Here we go. Again, keeping the belly firm. We'll soften it back up later because we don't want to keep it firm all the time. But while we're doing our exercise, it helps us protect our muscles and our joints if we keep everything strong and engaged. Five more seconds. And time. Set everything down. Maybe take a second to windshield wiper the knees again. And then getting in position for our marching bridge, whatever that looks like for you. 1 minute. Here we go. Perfect. Hands resting wherever. And if you're thinking about what makes good form here, keeping the hips pressed up, pushing down into the heel of the foot that's on the floor. And then trying to keep the hips fairly stable so they're not rocking side to side over much. They're going to shift a little, but we don't want it to be a crazy amount. And time. Lower the hips back down. Pull in, stretch out, roll side to side, whatever. And then get set up for our pullover. One minute on the clock. Away we go. Slow and steady. Good control. Keeping the belly nice and firm. Almost there. Time. All right, set the weights aside. That is the end of our third set. So grab a little water, make sure your space is clear, and then we'll do our final stretch. All right. Bringing it in, taking a moment just to let the feet flop, let the legs soften, let the belly get soft, and let it pooch however it wants to. Maybe let the back and the shoulders round and the head droop down a little. And then on the next exhale, bring everything up to center. Arms come up overhead. We're going to reach down towards the toes. Taking a second to stretch out long. Maybe grabbing hold of the toes or the ankles or the shins. And then exhaling and softening everything down. Letting the feet flop again and the elbows get heavy. And the belly soften. Inhaling and rolling up. One arm comes up and over, the other hand comes down for support, and we find a nice long side reach. Opening through the side body and the ribs. And then taking that hand, turning, bringing it down to the floor. And finding just enough of a twist that it feels nice in your back, but not so much that anything pinches or crunches. If that doesn't feel good to have that hand down to the floor, it can come back to the leg, whatever feels right for you. On the next breath, bring that hand back up to open. And then rolling up and over to the other side. First, finding the nice long side reach, opening through the ribs. Breathing into it for just a moment. And then exhaling, turning, bringing that hand down to the mat or to your legs. Finding the right level of twist for your back and your body. Keeping the hips sunk down into the floor. Now inhaling that arm back up. And then coming right back into center. Bringing the legs out wide this time. Arms come up. And reach down long through the middle, stretching through the inside of the legs. Maybe a little through the shoulders. Exhaling and softening now, letting the feet flop and the head and the elbows get heavy. Walking the hands in, coming up in whatever way feels good in your back. And then we'll bring the bottoms of the feet together. Finding a nice long spine, stretching up through the crown of the head, and then keeping that long spine, doing a hinge forward. Opening and stretching through the hip a little. Maybe allowing the arms to rest on the knees if that feels good. On the next exhale, let everything round and soften in this position. And then coming back up nice and strong, using your hands to help your knees up. Give everything a nice hug in. Maybe bringing your nose down to your knees. And then coming into an easy seat or whatever feels good in your body. Bring one hand across. Coming into our shoulder stretch. Maybe dip the chin down towards the chest and do a little look from one side to the other. Not really rolling through the bottom half, just a little look. A little 45-degree sweep to each side. Bringing the head back to center and back to neutral. Release and go to the other side. And then this time, maybe lifting the chin just a little. And doing that little side-to-side sweep. Working through a little different part of the neck. Like you're looking from one top corner of the room to the other. Bring the head back to center. And then release. And give everything an octopus wiggle. And that is it. We are done. Thank you for coming out to play.